settled, and then we can call the meeting to order at 7:04. And let me pull up my email to get an agenda, but I don't think there are any members of the public, no public participation this time. So
I don't know how they categorize Ava. They categorize her as public participation. She's a liaison.
Liaison,
yeah,
I
since
think.
you're a liaison,
A
I don't.
non-voting liaison.
Yeah. So, yeah, I usually, yeah, if I think it's just if anybody has shown up particularly, for outside comment, that's the public participation, as far as I understand. But yes, so you're the liaison. Do you want to, introduce yourself and let us know, or just introduce yourself and we'll tell you hello as well?
So my name's Ava Serino. I'm a senior at the high school, and I'm obviously the liaison for the Human Rights Commission. And I'm here today because Liz and we want to talk about the MLK Day community event. So I don't know if you want me to talk about that now or once we get to that on the agenda.
We can talk about that once we get to the agenda. I think that that's okay.
All right.
Did you want to tell us anything else about yourself, just in the matter of friendliness and saying hello?
So I've been a volleyball player for the past 5 years, and I played for high school and the club called Mass Impact.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Ava. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome, Ava.
We introduce ourselves to Ava a little bit.
Sure. I think that that's great. Sorry, I'm doing a little bit I'm just pasting the agenda, so I'm kind of doing two things at once. Apologies. Yeah. I am the chair. My name's Jess Suttich. I've lived in Wakefield now for 3-4 years, something in that nature. I've got a kid. She's 4. We've floated volleyball as a sport that she might do in the future, but based on nothing and no ideas whatsoever. But we talk about it in front of her sometimes. And and yeah, I by day I write for video games, and I do a little storytelling and performance as well.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Well, I met Ava under not the best circumstances, unfortunately. I hope everyone has recovered from that. We got Zoom bombed at the youth council meeting.
Yeah,
Oh.
It was not a fun moment, definitely.
It was pretty awful. Very sick person. But my name is Sherry Oken. I have lived in Wakefield for 22 years, and which is amazing to me. And I've been on the commission. This is my second term, and I have a year and a half left to my terms, because you get 2 terms. Prior to retiring at the end of 2022, I had a management company for nonprofit groups. So I was an expert in nonprofit governance and boards of directors and working with people in membership-based groups. And that was my final career. I did a lot before that. I was an educator. I was a marketing specialist and things of that sort. And I love Wakefield, which is why I'm on this commission and also on the Council on Aging.
That's good to hear. Nice to meet you, Sherry.
Hi, Ava. I'm Jill Diamond. I'm the vice chair, and I live here in Wakefield. Been here for about 10 years.
Nice to meet you, Jill.
And she has a beautiful daughter.
2 sons.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2 sons.
Yeah, I have 2 sons.
Jess has a beautiful daughter.
Yeah, I have 2 sons, and I work.
Hun has a beautiful daughter too.
2 sons, and I work for MGH Aspire, which is an organization that provides service training programs for individuals with autism.
That's cool.
So I'm Han Leons. This is actually the first year of my term for the Human Rights Commission. I lived in Wakefield for over 10 years now. I do have a daughter. Her name is Ellie Leon. She's a senior at the high school, Wakefield
That's-
High School. Ava, you may know her already.
Yeah, I'm friends with her. I sit with her at lunch. There's a group of us, and I sit with her at lunch every day. She's awesome.
And I work for a insurance company as the director of underwriting and data analytics. So
Nice to meet you.
And I see Liz joined us as well. We were just doing introductions. Did you want to do Amy and Pete? Do you want to say hello?
Sure. I'm Amy Rando. I'm the Family Services Officer at the Wakefield Police Department. I grew up in Wakefield and I've worked for the police department for 15 years. And I'm the liaison for the Human Rights Commission.
Nice to meet you, Amy.
Nice to meet you.
And Amy has been involved with the commission since it started, since the very
That's
beginning.
cool to hear.
And I'm Pete Davis, and I am the liaison from the Wakefield School Committee, and I've lived in Wakefield for about 26 some odd years.
Nice to meet you, Pete.
Same.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Parsons. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the adult advisor for the Youth Council. So I'm here to support Ava. My day job now is Prevention Outreach and Youth Services Manager with the town of Wakefield, which includes Wake Up Coalition, which is a substance use prevention coalition, and other programs and duties. You probably know more than I do. I'm about 4 or 5 months into the job. I'm very happy to be joining you tonight.
Great. Well, thanks everybody. We are happy to have you all here, and we're going to the next thing we're going to do is I sent the November minutes out late, and you're much better at doing all of that than I am. But I sent them out today. Did people get a chance to look at them enough to do voting on them?
I have 2 corrections.
Great.
Okay, first of all, it was the November 19th meeting, which was my birthday. It wasn't.
Oh, yes, I have too many. It was like October 17th and November 19th and now December 17th. I have too many teens.
And down on 6 on financial, it was the Environmental Sustainability Committee.
Okay. I will make those changes.
It's good I can skim really fast.
Great, thank you for that. If there are no other changes, then does anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
I can second it.
Great, I approve.
I approve.
I approve.
Great, and Jill, were you there? No.
No.
Well, it's lovely to see you though.
Yeah, sorry. I accidentally totally blew it on that one.
No, okay. All right. So I'll approve, and those are good. Operations. The one thing I will say is if anybody, this is from Sherry Dalton, if anybody is going to be putting any email addresses in the public to respond to, or using any contact information for anything, if we could do it out of the WHRC email instead of using anybody's personal email. I think she may have noticed a personal email out in the wild somewhere. If you could always use that. I don't know if we use that one form for the MLK Day. I'm not sure, since it's a Google form, I'm not sure if it works with the HRC email. So we may need to in the future find another solution for that, but we can talk to the town, she said, to get solutions that they might have for things as well. So so that's just a note from Sherry Dalton, just to use that HRC Outlook email.
She might have seen I'm the one who does a lot of press releases, and I normally put my name down as contact
Mhm.
directly. So she might have seen my name on things like that.
Yeah, your name can be there as a contact, but just it's your
No, my email
yeah.
was.
Yeah, if your email, just make sure that you keep your email out of it. I think it ultimately protects us to keep our private emails out of um out of the public. I don't I feel like that sounds more cagey than I mean for it to be, but it helps us it protects us if we use the HRC email. So that was a note from her. That's all I have for operations right now. Oh, except that I am getting some swag for the MLK event. So I'm ordering just some more swag for the box.
Thank you. And the financial reports are endlessly confusing. I usually call and follow up. But what we have is $1,469 remaining in our $3,000 budget, which is about half. And we also have a couple of $1,000s of grant money. So we have money to do some wonderful programming.
Should I go ahead and order the tote bags?
Are you going to order? Remember, we talked about there's a price point where it starts getting less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems to me that we can use them up fairly quickly. And just ordering short will be way more expensive than ordering more now and not
Mhm.
having to reorder in
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah, we talked about ordering 100.
Okay, and what's the price point difference?
I don't recall at this point. I have it written down.
It's probably about at least 30% less.
Um, almost there, sorry. Oh, it's not what I thought it was. I mean, it was like 350 as opposed to 287 or something like that.
And getting twice as many.
Right,
Yeah, it seems well worth it.
here it is. Yeah.
How does
Um,
this feel?
oh yeah, like one of them was 285 each for 100. Yeah, that's what it was. So it was 285 or 275 for 100. And then $2.75 each for 100.
Mhm.
And then $3.50 each for 50.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think if we spent
Yeah.
$300 or less to get 100 tote bags, I think that would be a nice thing.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, plus
Um,
the prices may go up because a lot of these, especially with maybe higher tariffs coming on a lot of items, a lot of these tote bags are produced in China.
So would I purchase and then put in for reimbursement?
Yes,
yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
And when you do put in for reimbursement, tell them it is for HRC supplies.
hmm
And that way they'll put it in the right budget area. And it should come out of our general budget.
Yeah. All right. That sounds great. I would, look, I would love to give one to Mr. Zinni for his help with music things. And, I just think there's several things coming up that we could certainly use them. So I'd love to get them ordered.
Yep, I think that that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for looking into that.
I wonder if we would have them soon enough for MLK Day, because there's different people I might want to thank as well, who are helping us out. Okay, so, and by the way, Ava, Liz, for the second time around, because I've sat every office position since I've been on the commission so long, I'm currently the treasurer. That's why I talk about the money. Again, second time.
So to that end, let's chat about the MLK event. That is the thing coming up the most quickly, and we've got folks here to catch us up, as well as Sherry.
Boy, I got to tell you, it's been a challenge. I keep on hearing, oh, I've gotten so busy, I can't be involved anymore. And I keep on hearing this over and over again. And we know by the size of our commission right now that this is a continuing problem for us. Um, we, well, I have our two wonderful political leaders are confirmed. We may not have an invocation because the clergy council seems to feel they're all too busy, but maybe for one day event they'll come. Jill has been helping me with contacts with one of the elementary school music teachers, and we will have a small group of elementary school students. This is going to be cute. Doing a sing-along. There'll be a karaoke. There'll be words up on the screen. Unlike last year, we had Rabbi Greg playing the guitar, leading the sing-along to sing all the world needs now is love, sweet love. And I was so frustrated. I contacted so many different churches and choral groups and Berkeley College of Music. And finally, I spoke with Nicole of North Shore Juneteenth, and she is putting me in touch with some gospel singers. So we're going to also have some gospel. And I am in touch with and hoping to get a speaker, a keynote from the ACLU because of the theme this year. I thought that since the theme is about defending and preserving democracy, that would be a wonderful keynote address. We also have announcements because I think Benny and her compatriot wants to talk about the Black History Walks. And we certainly would like to announce and launch our service project, which I went to see the youth council. They put their heads together and they came up with a good one. And I would like Ava to talk a little bit about what they are proposing. And there's logistics to resolve, but we're going to be co-sponsoring, coordinating together a wonderful project with them. Ava.
Yeah, so to add on to that, at the last youth council meeting, when we were talking about the MLK Community Service Project, a lot of the youth town council members, we would like to pursue a toiletries or a hygiene product drive for the places in need. The way that the youth town council members agreed to frame this project would be that the actual day of community service would be the organization and packaging of the donations received. So that would most likely be on MLK Day, and then we would go to these places in need that would that would possibly be picked prior and give them their toiletries or hygiene products. But I think there are some restrictions that I don't think the youth town council can give actual donations. I know Liz can comment more about that, but we just we proposed a toiletry / hygiene product donation drive.
Yeah, and I had suggested that we launched the collection on Martin Luther King Day and 2 weeks later have the assembling day because we need a couple of weeks to to promote it.
Yeah.
And it's, holiday time now. And then if at that big meeting, and we can even have collection at that meeting, if people, would like, but we would have to identify a few spots in town where we can set up appropriate containers that could not be compromised. This pickup and delivery, of these items, and then arranging a particular day, and it can be, we have a lot of public spaces in Wakefield where we could assemble these, but like I said, I'm proposing we promote it and then announce it, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, have the assembly, so there's enough time to gather all the things that you would like to do.
Yeah, the youth town council can definitely we can definitely try our best to support and promote the idea of the whole drive and people donating.
Yeah, and now I will help you with that. That's one of the things that I do with this body all the time. I have lots of contacts, and but as I said, there's some logistics that we would have to work out, including, appropriate containers. I mean, Liz, you might be able to help us with this because you work for the health department, so you might know about other drives that have containers that are secure. Or Amy could help us with this too, secure containers. And because I think that's very important. Also, that we have to be pretty specific about what we can accept. And I'm thinking if it's general toiletries, we're talking about toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, deodorant, shampoo,
Yeah.
that skin creams, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm not so sure if we could shaving products because it's razors. Maybe that would not be something we could do because of safety. But I think this is a wonderful idea because there's Karen Burke from the Council on Aging. And I had a conversation and she said, we were talking about the folks who just lost their home on Water Street, that apartment building,
Yeah.
apartment building. And she was telling me that the town has a fund and they give people $250 and then they're on their own. And so they don't have, if they've had a fire and they've had their home has been destroyed, they have nothing. And so there's a lot of individuals in need. The Malden Warming Center was a topic that we brought up here. That was a possible place for people who would need toiletries. I am sure even the food pantry coordinators could suggest things to us. There's just unfortunately a lot of people in need.
Yeah. Liz, I see your hand up, and also I think maybe Amy had mentioned knowing some more about some of this if it helps, if you need more information, as I recall. Sorry, I don't mean to throw you out there, Amy.
Okay.
But Liz, what's your hand up about?
I was just going to add on a little bit about what was discussed at the last youth council meeting. One, and I had a quick conversation with Tom Walsh, our emergency preparedness director, about needs. And so one thing that the youth council had identified was we don't, you know, as a community, we don't want to be asking for things if those in need don't need it. For example, sometimes when families are displaced or residents are displaced, they do need toiletries and things like that, but there may be an allergy or there may be, you know, what we can physically collect isn't meeting the needs. And so that oftentimes in those situations, gift cards or monetary donations or to those funds are more easily used by those in need. And along those lines, so we talked about identifying the places where residents can go, whether it's the schools or churches, or I don't know if the police department has it or the counseling agent, but food pantry, where residents can typically go to find these resources, and to so directly ask what the need is rather than us, you know, assuming, oh, if we collect this or that, then it might be useful. So I think that was the first identified suggestion for the youth council, or that the youth council made, was for a suggestion to you all to sort of assess what that might be, if this is a viable idea. And then second, I just wanted to say what Ava was referring to is the youth council may have some restrictions on what they can solicit and how. So we would, and of course they would have to agree, take all this idea back and agree on how they can be involved, because they expressed an issue of, you know, not of capacity basically, and not wanting to be promised too much and not be able to follow through. So we're happy to think this through with you, and as Ava said, support, but given the nature of it, and you know, we'll follow your lead in terms of what it looks like, but certainly can't be the point, you know, council on it. That makes sense.
Does that, sorry, Sherry, I was just going to ask if that, if it would make sense to have kind of a subcommittee meeting to to figure out logistics or to help figure out logistics.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that since it's a community project, the actual assembly, we would be calling other people in the community to come in and help. So it wouldn't fall all on the students or the 5 commissioners we have, plus our liaisons. Because last year when we did our project, and several of you were there, we had several dozen people come on a Saturday morning. And we had a lot of fun, and we beautified the Boys and Girls Club. It was, and people enjoyed, and the ages ranged from Tiana's 8-year-old son to I was maybe one of the oldest ones there, and 70 years old. And so it would be a community project, not just in that people would donate, but they would also help assemble and maybe even help deliver some of these things out to other people in the community. But
Amy, sorry. I've just reacted to those yellow hands.
yeah,
Super sorry. No, I tried to turn on my video. I was trying to look for the chat button. I took a phone call, so I heard you guys mention my name, but I was on a phone call with someone, so I apologize. So did you have a question that was specific to me?
Yeah, I will possibly. I kind of threw your name out there. The discussion has been about making donations of doing for the community project donation of possibly toiletries or like different items to places that collect that for people in need. And I remember you mentioning knowing some possible places to reach out to or having some
Yeah.
information on that.
Yeah, so so the Malden Warming Center is the closest shelter to us. It's open overnight hours, until the morning. It's not a shelter that you sleep at, but it's a shelter where people can go to warm up, get some food, and it also has clothes and other things like that. So that would be a good place to reach out to see if they need anything in specific for the clientele that they're serving. Clothing closet at the Congregational Church is great because it's local and has a bunch of great clothes there for people who need clothing that is local. And then also you could reach out to Respond, which is the domestic violence agency that services Wakefield and some of the surrounding communities. I know they have 3 different shelters, and so sometimes they have specific needs for like any of the children that might be in the shelters with parents, or the parents. It might even be something like they're going for a job and like mom might need business clothes or something. So specific donations. So I think those would be good local ones that would serve Wakefield. So.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, I remember you had some suggestions on that. It sounds to me like what is needed though is an organizational meeting. Sorry, Liz, that there needs to be an organizational meeting to say like reach out and see what's needed and then see what can be done, like what's reasonable. And then from there, how to translate it into a project that feels like the community is involved.
I'm happy to reach out to each one to see if there's any specific needs, if there are any at this point. So
That'd be great.
The Youth Council was talking specifically about personal care type products and hygiene products. Because I know there's already, because I donate to them, the clothing closet at the church is fantastic. But I don't know of any, well, the senior center actually, believe it, they have a food pantry for seniors in need that's very well used. And things like some of these products might be even appreciated at our Council on Aging Senior Center, because we have I found out this week, 3,000 senior citizens in Wakefield. And not all of them are lucky enough, or as lucky as I am, in terms of having their own home and the means to buy their own things. They're struggling.
I think the other thing that was raised, and I'm curious about the logistics on your side, Liz, as to what the youth council could do, and then if there were cash donations or gift cards given, is the youth council okay to collect something like that, and can they give Is that okay? I feel like sometimes with cash stuff, it can be a little bit, there are specifics as to what you can do.
Yeah, I'm in the process of finding out exactly. I'm happy to get back to you once we know for sure what
Okay.
we can and can't do. Yeah.
Yep, that would be great. Yeah, knowing what you can and can't do. Amy, if you can reach out and find out what's needed, anybody who has an idea, and then we can assemble that and see what fits, which things fit together the best. I think there are a lot of good ideas here, and I think it's a good goal. It just seems like we need just enough organization to know what to be asking people to donate and to know where it will go and how best to put that together. So I would say that may, because of the turnaround, and we're coming up on the holiday now, and so I would say we may be able to do a certain amount of discovery via email, but then we may need to set up a meeting. I truly don't know when that will be. I admit that now that I see Christmas looming before me, I don't know when that meeting will be, but I'm sure that we can figure something out to make sure that everything's organized.
And since this is in line with MLK Day, which I am chair of again this year, I'm available to meet. I will make myself available to meet
Great.
in the next week or two or anytime. I will make
Yeah.
myself available to meet. I do not have some of the family obligations because our family does not live around here, most of them. So I could do it sometime next week, even if we wanted to have a Zoom meeting or if we wanted to have a quick in-person meeting somewhere. We would just have to go through the town meeting thing. So we have to announce things to the general public that we're doing this, that it's a subcommittee. And well, it's a subcommittee if two official voting members of the town HRC is present at that meeting.
Yeah, because it's 50%. If we reach quorum because we're small, we reach quorum pretty quickly. So I think that if you have two people present, then we'll have to do a Zoom meeting. But I think it's possible. I think let's do a little bit of discovery, like reach out to a few people, send information uh just as to what you found, and then we can set something up. As of Friday, I will have a 4-year-old home until the new year, and I don't know what I will do with her, how entertaining I can possibly be. I'm just going to be filling her with sugar each day and creating my own problems. But but if something comes up, I'll try to be there or at least help to organize things. And I think that this is a good idea. I think it's possible. And even if we have to do a meeting in the new year, right as we get into January, I think that's, I think that we can still do some organization and get the word out there.
So are you folks comfortable with the timeline that we organize and promote between now and the January 20th Martin Luther King Day? Do the connections from that time until early February, just to give us some breathing room because of the holidays? Does that sound reasonable to Liz, Ava, you think, for the youth council as well?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable time. Yeah.
Okay. And like I said, it's usually it's just it's a half day, one half day, but this is the kind of thing that sort of is in phases. So it's ongoing. And then there's that one day towards the end that people actually assemble and maybe even help distribute. They bring the goods to different places that need them. And I know, like I said, last time we got wonderful amount of volunteers, and I'm confident we will again. It's the kind of thing people like, they know it's a short term, few hours, and they feel good about it, and they're helping the community.
Liz.
I was just gonna add that I'm happy to reach out to Tom Walsh to ask what the need is for more specifics. And the elementary and middle schools. And Ava, would you like to cover the high school to see what the need is for the clothing closet and the
Yeah,
care
I
closet there?
definitely reach out to the high school. And would it be possible getting like other high school clubs like involved? Like with this, like maybe helping,
Well,
like the social
the call
interaction.
of volunteers could be a general call to the whole community.
Okay.
Yeah, so yes, if somebody, the more people, but we have to have specific, having run organizations of volunteers for years, you have to have specific things for them to do. They can't just show up and not
Yeah.
know exactly what they have to do. So,
Mhm.
but I think you want to keep your planning committee closer
Okay.
because that's, yeah, it'll get really crazy if you have too
Yeah.
many people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
limit the amount of ideas you have.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I think that this sounds good. I think that there's enough of a plan here to figure things out, and anybody who's reaching out to get information, if you can just share that around so that we know what's up, and link in Amy as well in case she's reaching out as well. So that's that. International Women's Day.
One last thing, I just want to make a pitch because we are so few. Save January 20th. Please support the event. Please help out that day if you can. We will be having, we had more members on the HRC last year, so I had one person who took care of making sure the refreshments were all set up in the cafeteria. I'll order everything, but actually I had her order them. I'll order everything this time. We just need people to greet, to answer any questions. And I think I would like to be able to introduce all of you to the audience as members of the HRC. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to and ask to join, and they say, oh, it sounds great, and then they don't, but it's very difficult.
Sure, I can be there too. So just let me know what tasks you have for us to help with.
Okay.
I plan
It's
to be there too, Sherry.
It's pretty light lifting. It's like we have people at the welcome table, some people who help. If we have student art, which I hope we do, we display it. I also have a post-event display in the new Inspire Cafe. They said we can have their walls. Any art that we receive, they will display for us. I went and visited with them. And we currently have, and I won't tell you who it is, we have one extraordinary candidate for the award. We did have another application, but somebody didn't quite follow the instructions. They tried to put two people together on an application, and they would have been in two different categories, and there's specific categories, and they wrote one summary for both of them and didn't build like the case for each individual. So, but the other application I received, all of you will be delighted. I was very excited when I saw this one. Someone very, very deserving.
Would it be possible to include the other nominees? I fear that it would be excluded because of a barrier of knowing how to fill out the form, as opposed to.
No, I don't think that was the case. No, it, as with it's too late now to even start doing this all over again. I was thinking about sending that particular individual a new set of instructions, but he wanted that the rules are they are in separate categories. They're not, you don't join someone who's a town employee and a volunteer and try to do, there's no award for a town employee and volunteer working on one thing. That's not what the award is. It's not the parameters for the award. So I don't think at this point it would make much sense to do this. He didn't really build a really strong case either, because I've seen these applications before. Not that these people don't contribute a great deal, but if you saw the application for the other person or the one from last year, you would say, oh my God, yeah, this person deserves a high honor. So anyhow, moving on, International Women's Day.
Muted. And now I'm not muted. Fabulous. International Women's Day. So one question for you. It is on Saturday this year. But I felt like perhaps that might be a Saturday night might be a big ask. So I think Friday, or I mean, last year we did it on a Thursday night, because it was on Friday. Do we have a feeling between Thursday and Friday? Do we think Thursday is a sweet spot for our event, or do we want to do it just the Friday before that Saturday?
Thursdays really work well for all our events.
I'm fine with that. It may be an easier evening to ask people to come out who will be speaking. I know that weekends are a bit dodgy for me, so I felt like Saturday would be too much. But yeah, okay, so that's one thing. The topic this year is accelerate action. Making the theme is to emphasize the need to make faster progress towards gender equality, and to encourage institutions and policymakers to reform and address outdated systems and biases. I have begun to just reach out to, not even reach out to, I've run into people who have participated last year and let them know to think about anybody who might fit inside that theme. I think that people who have done it may also have other resources, but if anybody is thinking of anybody who might be a good panel person, feel free to begin to think about that, or just assemble a list in your mind. I know that Catherine Dingra, who had helped us. She used to work for Wakefield, but is still interested in helping out. She has a good list of a who's who of Wakefield. So I think we should be able to assemble a good panel. But for now, I'm going to complete the booking and book the reception room afterwards over by the high school for snacks. And then we'll begin to be able to talk about who might be fitting for the panel. I don't mind doing the hosting. I ran into Yarlenis this year, just today in a Dunkin' Donuts, getting gift cards for teachers, and she was on the panel last year, and she said she had some ideas. She was really excited to just talk about who might be good for this year as well. So I think that I don't actually think it will be very difficult to find people and put this together, but it will be time to begin to think about that, even though it's in March.
I would also reach out to other people in town, like Karen Burke at the Senior Center. She's very well connected.
Yep.
There's other people who've been, Liz, you're new, but there's people who've been around longer, who might have real knowledge of people who've helped to really progress the cause of equality and women's opportunities. I'm sure that, and it doesn't always have to be someone in our exact community, because we've had people from outside that were fabulous as well. We like to have and we would love to have a high school student even on the panel, like generational. Like last time we had someone from someone who was almost 20. Then we had someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and then 60. We had people from different generations, and that was great because the perspective was so different from each of them on what they.
Yeah. So yeah, if Ava, if you know anybody who seems like they might be a good fit as well, think activist, somebody who wants to go into policy making in the future. People who talk like that at the lunch table. People are throwing around ideas like that. Or Liz, if anybody knows anybody, and you are also tapped into kids at that age, because of your daughter being at school. So if you know anybody who you can wrangle, it was really nice to have a student on the panel as well last year. She really held her own out there as well. So I think that with my hard-hitting questions. So I think that it will be, I think it's a nice event, and yeah, so start to put your thinking caps on, and if you have anybody to reach out to, please feel free to let me know.
Yeah, I definitely will. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maureen is always a font of knowledge.
Yeah, Marine, I feel like I know enough people to bug this year. Last year I was much newer. I didn't have as many people that I knew to begin to poke about this, but now I'm starting to have my list as well. So I'll start to reach out, but I'm always welcome. It's nice to have a good diverse group of people up there, both in age and background, and you know, as many different perspectives as we can get. Liz.
Just, can you please confirm the attributes or what you're looking for panelists?
So the International Women's Day topic is always a bit broad, but the description here is accelerate action, and they're putting it in terms of encouraging institutions and policymakers to make reform. So I think that it can be a wide group of people who are from different backgrounds. I mean, it was technology last year, and I think we had different approaches to technology, or people, we also reached out to people who were in male-dominated fields and kind of broadened it to that. I think for this, it seems like if there's anybody who kind of walks the line of activism or policy making, that seems to be an exact match. But I don't mind if you A to C it. If you're like, I know somebody who would be really great and they are related to this topic in this way.
Would I can reach out to my the person that I know who's the city councilor in Melrose. Is that the type of person you're looking for?
I mean, I think that like, I think so. I mean, I tend to be a little bit, if anything, um, a little bit more soft on the idea of how you can relate to it. I don't think like we need every single person to be you know, have changed policy in our government, but I think if you are involved in government, if you're involved in changing policies, I think if you are this is also an action, it's talking about gender equality and somebody and like dismantling unequal pay and things of that nature. Somebody who may have worked in any kind of law along those lines, maybe, right? When we adopted our daughter, we had a really, our lawyer was this really interesting woman who she was a human rights lawyer in New York City. She kind of is too far outside for this, but she both worked to help us, and then also she was working to do human rights law. So I think like if you've worked in like gender equality and law, or if you've worked in a business to try and change unequal pay, or to try and like if you've worked to try and get more gender equality in your office. I think like I think if that can also be a contact point, like if you've been doing small work where you can, I think that that's good. If you are also an agent for change who is working in the law system or in the government system, I think any of those could be.
And a community activist.
Yeah.
I can reach out to you because I've been in touch with his office a lot more lately, to Jason Lewis and Kate Garabedian, and ask them who they've come across in the community who seems to really is an activist who really tries to push the envelope and make more opportunities for people
Mm-hmm.
and equal opportunities for people.
Yep. Yeah, this is the barriers here are unequal pay, limited education access, underrepresentation in leadership. I think that I think that there are some new people who may be driven to activism now with some of the changes that are going on or possible changes that may happen in the upcoming years. So
You know,
there may
even
be
things
some.
like law enforcement. I mean, Amy might know somebody who really pushed for greater representation among women police officers, and
Mhm.
not just beat people, but people who could rise to detective and beyond, and chief. So Amy might know somebody.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So I think yeah, I think don't be overly strict in the people that you're thinking about. And I'd say reach out to people. They may you know, even if you reach out to your friend and they end up having a suggestion of somebody else, I think that, you know, I think it's a good start.
All right, I will keep thinking, but I'm also happy to help with that event.
That's great. I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, it's mostly once we have the panel of people who are available for that date, then we'll assemble some questions that we'll be able to ask them. Um I had more questions than needed last year. I feel like I ended up having to do a wrap up. So I think that we can come up with some good questions to ask people as well. And we let the people know ahead of time what the questions are so that they can have an answer ready so that everybody feels really comfortable, and it's a pretty friendly event.
Mhm.
All right. Matters not anticipated. The only thing, yes.
I have reserved Juneteenth for us, except they're not doing, North Shore Juneteenth is not doing things on Juneteenth.
Oh, okay.
So they will come on June 18th, the night before, which is a
Okay.
Wednesday. So I think we have to, can the flag be raised at night, the night before, rather than on the day of Juneteenth?
Sherry, that is a answer that, although it should have a simple answer, it does not. And I just have to look at the schedule for what the town council approved for the dates. I forget if it's going up on the 18th or if it goes up. Like there is a specific range as to what the town council approved for the flag being raised. I just forget what it is.
But I know last year, because we had to do it on a different day because they weren't available, this time they're letting all the people from the Juneteenth Association and their contacts are free to celebrate in their own communities and families. So they're not lining up people to help out communities like ours, like they have all these past years.
Yeah, I mean,
So what
I
could
find
happen is
that
if we have to put it up and take it down, so the next day they put it up again. That's
I
what
find
last year.
it I find your question to be very earnestly asked and to not be a problem, but in truth, I have to look up. I just have to look up to see what it is that was approved by the town council, and I am hesitant to say yes to anything until I look it up and have all the details on that. Fortunately, we have I think that we will be able to work with the organization and figure something out, but I cannot give answers on this topic until I look it up.
Well, I recall that it was approved for June 19th.
Yeah, it's for
Yeah.
it's for a date. There's a date range. It has there's a date range. We just have to look up to see what it is.
Yeah.
I it's it is a complicated web, but I do not feel daunted. We will figure it out. That said, the other thing to note is that we won't have as you had mentioned briefly before, we got an email saying we will no longer have a clergy liaison. Um, it was something that we were not aware of until it was sent to us in an email. It is a bit disappointing. I think that it is a nice add to have voices from different religious communities, both supporting our events and as part of this group, because I think that they are good representatives of the people of Wakefield who can also talk to human rights events. But But perhaps they're overextended. I am not exactly sure what the decision was driven by, but that has been decided.
I'm not even sure they know what is expected of them as a liaison. It's an advisory position. It's once a month, and if they're able to help out with a specific event, fantastic. So I'm not sure why they feel like they can't have somebody who is once a month. It's
I am not sure. I don't really, the only person, and Hyun, I see your hand. I see it. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know enough about the time commitment and or what has driven the decision. So again, I also don't know. Yes, what is it that you are thinking?
and Glavia also has expressed that she's too busy to be involved as well. And she was assigned us by the schools.
Yeah, I think that we can speak with Maureen in general and see if there is a way to um have these liaisons, but not have them feel as much like they need to make it even 2 monthly meetings. I see Pete dutifully having sat here and being here, but I don't know that, it may seem silly, but a monthly meeting is a heavier lift when you're doing many things. So we can kind of talk about that, but Hun, Hyun, I see you. I want you to be able to speak instead of me yammering on about our maybes.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about before we ended some updates on the Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Oh,
And
great.
then
Sorry. Yes,
also some emails that came through on the Wakefield HRC email address. So
Sure. Why don't you do the Asian Pacific Islanders event? And we can, as to keeping liaisons connected, we can kind of continue to have that conversation with Maureen to see if she's got any ideas as well. So give
So-
our updates.
So I reached out to the volunteers and I just wanted to get permission from this committee to start reaching out to the PTO, maybe creating a Facebook post, some other ideas to get additional volunteers. So we do have our regular set of volunteers confirmed that they do want to continue to participate, but we are looking for some additional volunteers. So seeing if we can reach out to the schools, to the PTO, to the Facebook, to our distribution list to see if anyone else wants to participate and help us out with the event.
As chairperson, go right ahead.
Yeah, I think I would say, oh yeah, always reach out to people. It's approved.
I also reserved the AmeriCal Civic Center, and then there was a recommendation that we should probably also reach out to the police department. So I'm going to reach out to the police department and ask them if we can reserve that parking space in front of the AmeriCal for the food trucks. So
Oh, right.
Do you have a date then?
we are thinking May. Look at my calendar. May, was it 18th or 19th? Whatever that Sunday is.
Cool.
I want to make sure I get it on my calendar.
My calendar is
Put
not
my
popping
glasses
up.
on, I could see better. The Sunday is May 18th.
May 18th.
So that's the day you've reserved?
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. And then did you have also some things from the email?
Yeah, so we received a request from North Reading HRC to communicate and start working and seeing if there's some opportunities for us to work together.
Oh, great.
So I sent an email back asking them, oh, I lost my email connection. Um, what ideas specifically they had, if there was something that they wanted to participate with through some of the different activities that we have coming up, to ask them, or if they just wanted just a general interaction.
Yeah, that's great. I've also reached out to Reading and the Pop Huddle that also runs some of their events to see if they want to do any collaboration as well. But yeah, I think that's good. I think the more collaboration we all do, the better. And
I went to Jason Lewis's meeting that I thought was going to attract all the different representatives from different HRCs. And there were only representatives from 2 there. And I have since asked his assistant to send me the contact information for the HRCs in the area. And if I would like to call a meeting of just the HRCs in the area, get them all together in one room, get somebody from each of the towns. I know that right now Reading has a diversity person who is on staff, and they no longer have a formal HRC.
yeah, they do stuff through a DEI person and then they have it's something called Pop Huddle that organizes some of their events. So yeah, I think the more we can try and organize that Jason Lewis meeting was I can't decide whether it was wonderfully timed or poorly timed in the end of everything. It may have been on a day that people had other things on their minds.
It was very well attended, but
Yeah.
it was the concentration was on actually they talked more about immigration policy and the possible diminution of people's rights possibly as a result of the incoming administration. So that was more of their focus. I thought it was going to be about what community HRCs does, but they didn't do that, which is why I would
Well,
love to have a meeting specifically and
yeah,
ask
yeah, I
representatives
think
from the HRCs.
yeah, and I think that it's interesting to see what different towns are doing. I mean, I can see why that meeting is going towards what communities may be the most vulnerable in the upcoming years. I see also that it is 8:06 and I do want to let people go to their lives. I think that some of these are some of the questions and ideas that have come up here at the end. I think that they're good to continue to pursue and figure out what we can do to continue to be organized and keep people involved in this group, even if the way that they are involved is changing. So I think that that's where I'm at on that. Otherwise, I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:07.
I second.
And yes, I approve my motion.
Yes.
Approved.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And have if I do not see you until the new year, have happy holidays and happy New Year's and all of that. And take care of yourselves, and I will see you soon.
You too. Thanks, everyone.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
And Ava, thank you